Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Talon Games hobby channel, or whatever you want to call what we do. It's really a hangout channel, at least as far as I'm concerned. My name is James Salyers. I don't work for anybody in particular. I just happen to like Cab Boss a lot. He and I are friends, and so he asked me to stream for him a little bit. And here I am hanging out doing the hobby thing. This is the sort of the sort of get together where, in better times we might be hanging out at the local game store, hanging out, sharing painting tips, talking about our upcoming, cav plans, the giant robots that we like the most, the tanks that we love the most, all that kind of stuff. So, welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy hanging out with us. I'm gonna work on this Cossack model here, which is kind of fuzzy because my camera's focus is a little, sensitive. But yeah, we've been painting this Cossack over the course of the last few weeks. We're getting pretty close to done with it, and I think this is a new Almiratha model. Just in case you might not know that, or might not have been here in the past, and we're painting it up, hopefully for inclusion in the upcoming JOR, Journal of Recognition, which is basically a book of models with pictures and art and information, highlights, stuff, famous peoples, all the important stuff. Like I said, I'll give a few more minutes here just in case anybody else has an opportunity to drop by before I jump right in. Tune in tomorrow night. After this stream, John will be live tomorrow night working on this fantastic Egyptian-themed board that he's getting ready for convention season, which hopefully we will get sometime this year. Then Wednesday night, John and I will sit down and chit-chat, and John will answer your questions about Cav, and I will try and poke him into saying things that he probably shouldn't let us know. You know what I mean? Maybe get him to slip a piece of information that we want. So yeah, sorry about that. I had to step away for just a second unexpectedly. But Wednesday nights, John at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time fields questions, shares examples, educates us all about how things work, clarifies the rules, talks about the future, lets you just basically freeform with the game designer, which is pretty spectacular in my experience. And Saturdays, of course, Chris Bloody Lemming will be online sculpting. Anyway, so that's been a little bit. I think what we will do is we will get to work. So I've got this Cossack that I've been working on. Try and get it to the point where you can actually tell. But I've been doing a little bit of edge highlighting here in this green. This green is basically a combination of Vallejo olive green mixed with Vallejo Middlestone for a highlight. And then as I've needed brighter and brighter stuff, I have brought in this Reaper Dirty Bone to kind of bring these up. So I've got this kind of a triad going for this green. Obviously it's mostly green. There's just some very light highlights of this other stuff. And then this gray is probably what we're going to work on a fair amount tonight. I've still got a little bit of work to do on this orange. Just kind of smooth it back out. Got this cockpit to do right here, cockpit glass, and then I'm going to probably come in. I think I decided I'm going to go ahead and make it this green. I want to bring a little bit more of this green in, so I think this is an opportunity for us to paint a green cockpit. We might try that tonight, maybe. But first, what I've been trying to do is smooth out these transitions here on this gray. And maybe where this might have gotten just a little bit too bright with the airbrush, I think I'm going to come and try and just kind of create some separation, some shadow here. And then, of course, the back of the tank still needs some work. It's all too black. I didn't pay enough attention to it. I need to darken these little blips of orange down. But yeah, so, we're just cruising along working on this. I'm going to get started real quick before we get too much further. Let's talk real briefly about Virtual CavCon coming up the end of March, last weekend in March. A few of us are going to gather together at Cav HQ and try and entertain a lot of you, have some fun little games, some goofy stuff, some chit chat, some painting examples. We're hoping to get some of the more experienced Cav painters to come in and maybe do a little something. Maybe have some other streamers that are, friends of the of Talon Games to come in and maybe do some streaming on their channels to give us some more content. There'll be giveaways. There'll be things you can order. I'm sure John's got all the details. That's something we should hammer him about tomorrow to get him to tell us more and more about what we can expect at Virtual CavCon. That being said, I've got my force that I'm painting up for Virtual CavCon cleaned up to the point where I think it's just about ready to prime. Guess I should make sure they actually all get on the camera real quick here. Yeah, my shadows are not glued together and they're in lots of bits. So anyway, yeah, you still can't see that, can you? Slide these in here a little bit more. So yeah, this is the force that I'm putting together and painting up for Virtual CavCon. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if we're actually going to try and play any Cav games that we're going to send out over Twitch. But we might, I think, possibly. I don't know. But so Ross Hines, Todd Farnholtz, myself, Hugh Peebles, maybe, are all putting together, designing, and painting up some forces to talk about trying to just, generate some noise. Colonel Kane, nice to see you, buddy. That's good because you're in this channel. There's not a ton of entertainment to be had, just a little bit of chit chat for a little while. Like I said, hang out, have a good time, sort of thing we would do when you would visit down here in Tulsa. Put those guys out of the way. Let's get over here and get some painting done. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I've got a lot of work to do, but hopefully get these all these models primed and maybe get to the point where this weekend I can start to lay down some of the colors that I'm going to use for my paint scheme. All right, where was I? What am I doing here? I think I'm working on... Like I said, I'm just kind of working over these transitions. I just want these to be a little bit smoother. And so I'm getting some real transparent paint, and right now I'm just working on building up these shadows, this darker area down here. Just trying to create more separation between the top of that armor plate and the bottom of it. All the way across here. Sometimes the airbrush, even though it makes really smooth blends, when you're trying to paint such small little bits, it can spit a little bit and create some texture where the transition in such a small space is not as great as it could have been. And so then you can just come back in with your regular glazes, sort of a traditional acrylic technique, and just, kind of smooth those out. Strengthen up the shadows. Like this front plate right here, I've kind of lost the darkness I want at the bottom of that plate. So instead of trying to bring an airbrush back out and squirt a tiny little spritz of paint right where I want it, that's what the brush is for. But like all glazes, you put some on, you gotta let it dry a little bit. Put some more on, let it dry a little bit. Anyway, this is actually the part of painting that I kind of like the most. I've gotten through the point. Let me back up. For me, there's always that point in a model's painting where it gets it gets to the point where I hate it. I'm like, oh my God, I've made a terrible mistake here. Maybe I should strip this model. But it's always great when you get past that point. You're like, oh yeah, okay, I see how this is going to work. I see what's going on here. I know what to do. This is not, I'm no longer questioning why I even put money in this hobby, because this model is actually something I'm enjoying. And I've gotten to that point with this model where I was like, questioning my motives earlier when I started painting this thing back when it was just kind of raw. And now I'm fairly happy with it. I am not a painter. I'm a hobbyist, so it doesn't take a lot to make me happy with a model. But I do try and push myself. I try and learn. I watch a lot of people who are certainly are artists, people that I have a ton of enormous amount of respect for in the industry. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. James Wappel is probably my favorite painter. Aaron Lovejoy is certainly very good. Soshi, I hope I'm saying her name right. Soshi's Miniatures is really good. God, I can never think of everybody's name. Kenny Boucher is fantastic in terms of his ability. I like his stream too. It can be quite funny, but it's an acquired taste. There's just so many good painters out there. It's crazy. I should just make a list and tape it up here on my desk so that I don't have to try and remember all these people, because I feel like I'm slighting some of my favorite painters because, I'm not remembering their names properly. So this armor plate right here is a really good example. I've kind of messed it up. I did, this really nice fade with the airbrush at first, but let's see if we can get it up here. I have to adjust the focus. Bear with me a minute while I come in and try and adjust this focus so that you can see what it is I'm trying to explain. See if I can get this, change the focus just a little bit. So anyway, I lost all the black at the bottom. I've got some orange that I overpainted right here. I tried to do like an oil wash to it, and it got out of the lines and made this stain right here. So this armor plate needs a lot of work. And so I put in this black shadow again, and now I've got this terrible transition from this light gray to this black. Looks like a coffee stain that I'm going to try and work on here. See if I can get the focus back to where it needs to be for me. And to do that, I'm just going to take the original colors, take this kind of bluish light gray. And I'm just going to kind of come in here. And I'm really just trying to kind of conceal this line. I mean, that black in there is not terrible, but the harsh transition line is. So I'm just trying to kind of create a transition there that hides that from your eye, hides it from my eye. And then up here at the top where I need to get rid of this little piece of like a wash that got out of hand, and this little over where I got orange from that plate above it onto the gray there. Is that going to actually have any paint in it? Nope, I have to make some more. I'll just make a tint of this gray with some white. Maybe not quite that much. So this is kind of like a little bit like layering, but with really thin paint. So I don't know, it's glazing to me, but maybe it's just layering with very thin paints. Anyway, something for me to work on. Well, Kane, it's one of those things, right? I messed it up. That's what I'm doing, is I'm fixing a mess up. So we're really the same. We're the same person. If I had done this right the first time, I wouldn't have to be trying to correct this problem. And so now I'm going to take this white and just fuzz out this transition line where that medium gray is. So it looks like more of a smooth transition. Let's see, what do we got going on here? Fuzzing up that line just a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to try and encourage all of you definitely to come Wednesday to the stream, because what I need you to do is I need you to come to Wednesday's stream, and I want you to bug John about his latest MDF project. All right. Now, I can't tell you what it is. I've seen some pictures of it, but of course, it's not my place to tell people what's going on with John's secret projects, but he has a secret project. It's has something to do with MDF, and you really need to bug the crap out of him on Wednesday until he tells you or shows you some pictures, because it's pretty freaking cool. So, just show up Wednesday, and let's all very quietly sort of get John to spill the beans so we can all fangirl over how exciting this new project is. Because I, for one, am completely not afraid to fangirl about something that I love. Although, I shouldn't be sexist. I'm going to fanboy, whatever you want to call it, about it. I'm like, I don't mind admitting that I get excited about things. It doesn't bother me a bit. I am an excitable person when it comes to my favorite games and projects and things like that. Like WandaVision. Oh my gosh. My wife and I have been watching WandaVision. We wait till Sunday night so we can combine it with another show that we like. We can watch them back to back. Man, that is killing me. Colonel Kane, just take an hour-long lunch at 8. I don't know. Sneak out. Take it. I don't know, man. Make him put it up on the screen at work. You got to find a way to help me out, man. We got to get John to spill the beans. So I'm reasonably happy with that. Now I'm going to come in here and try and kind of, these are, so this side of the tank. All right. So I'm imagining the lights coming this way. Don't touch the model with the brush. And so this side of the tank should have much stronger shadows in it. It does, maybe a little bit too strong. I haven't made up my mind yet. But I want to be careful that I don't kill the... I want the shadow part of these armor plates to be much longer than this top bit. So with that being said, I probably need to strengthen this shadow down over here now that I've said all that. So I've got the admin version of Twitch pulled up, and Colonel Kane, there's some reason, something you said here, Twitch didn't like. I had to approve this last comment of yours. I have no idea. Cthulhu, did he tell you what the secret project was? Tell me what it was. Maybe I've just lost my mind. What was the project last week? God, I have no idea what that was. Ah, well, okay. I didn't realize I guess I forgot. No, that's the project. I'm sorry. Well, here I am talking crap for nothing. Make him show you pictures of it then, all right? So he's got some images to show. Make him show you the images. Gosh, I can't believe I went through all that. And I was there on the stream. I guess I must have been sleeping. I'm just so excited by it that I forgot that she shared that with us last week. And he told you that he's got a deal, I think, for some new terrain. That's going to be MDF, I believe. The MDF dropship. Yeah, absolutely. Did he tell you which one it was? Did he show us a picture of it, Cthulhu? Apparently I should go back and watch the stream. I was hoping he would drop in tonight and I could get him to tell us some more about it on the stream, but he must be busy. He's been pretty quiet today. Hopefully he's designing and printing drop ships. That'd be very nice. Yeah, all right. So then come in and let's get him to tell us some more details because he's shown off some images. I guess that's all I'll say for now. Some images that he's been working on in his design CAD program, whatever it's called, and he definitely knows what faction it's for. So show up tomorrow and give him some guff and make him tell you more stuff about it because. He shares that stuff with me and some of the other, like his actual painters. And I'm just like, man, I want to tell everybody. This is so exciting. I just want everybody to know about this. And I have to be super careful that I don't say something and then I'm not supposed to say. Which I guess is really easy if I can't even remember what the secrets were from last week. So yeah, Colonel Kane, absolutely. I don't want to ever mess up. Good thing I don't have any top secret clearances or anything. I would get in trouble. But yeah, the WandaVision stuff. I tell you what, I'm super happy with it. I've enjoyed all of it. I'm a comic, MCU, DC. I'm a big fan of all that stuff, and so I've been super pleased with what they've been doing with that. I just, like everything, it's like Christmas. I just want it to all come out at once. I kind of like the Netflix style of doing things where they'll just release like a whole show at one go. But I get why that it's also kind of fun to have it strung out, so I can think about it and talk about it, and have build up like my anxiety and my excitement for the next week's show. Yeah, I get that. I got a bunch of purple paints this weekend to do the tiger stripe camo for my Malvernus. Well, Cthulhu, I am excited to see that. Oh, Ilmarin, I missed your comment earlier. Welcome to the stream. He got real cagey. You talking about John last week when we were talking about the project? Good. That's all the more reason for everybody to show up and help. We're not trying to berate him, but just see if we can get him to reveal some secrets from the lab. That would be exciting. Very exciting. Like I said, it's great to be John's friend. I really like hanging out with John, but man, he'll tell you things and you're like, take my money now. Let's do it. He's full of great ideas. Full of fantastic ideas. All right. Need to work on those transitions a little bit. Thin this down. Just want the new Memphis flashpoints. Yeah, you're really excited about that stuff, aren't you, Mr. Colonel Kane? So, in the back of the rulebook, in the fluff section, there's one of the, I can't remember what it is, but there's one of those, maybe in the mercenary section, there's a piece that actually has some background information, I think, that's related to the flashpoint. There's one of the planets where it talks about the people that settled it have sort of like an Egyptian, culture, sort of, ancient Egyptian themed culture. And I'm pretty sure that is related to what's going on in the flashpoint. If you've not read that, you should probably go look that up. Yep, that's definitely worth having a look at. Not a lot of information back there, but a little bit. Yeah, you're right, Colonel Kane. It's there's not a lot there, but you can see that's kind of, I don't know, like an early version of his idea, or maybe he got to looking at his old fluff and was like, here's a place where I could expand, and it's got a theme and a visual that he was interested in doing. So yeah. Just kind of rebuilding these highlights. I wonder if maybe I shouldn't have wasted my time airbrushing them. That's all I'm going to do is go in and paint them by hand. I don't know anything about that, Mr. Kane. I mean, he's told me, some, just basically all the same stuff that you guys know about the flashpoint. I don't really have any inside information about that. I do not. Just excited for it like you guys are. Come on, little transition. Don't mess with me. Don't make me regret my choices. Yeah, I get it. I like being surprised. I really enjoy pleasant surprises. Let me rephrase that. All right. So there are clearly surprises I am not a fan of. That's not what I meant. But yeah, I want to read it for the first time, the Flashpoint, and enjoy it myself, and then get a chance, hopefully, to do some gaming in it. You know what I mean? Get a chance to play some of the scenarios. All right. That's probably good enough for there. Should definitely do something with this back. It's just a little too dark. It's really in shadow, but it should be a little bit brighter than that, maybe. Maybe right here on these highlights, these corners where this metal piece beside these louvers or exhaust ports or whatever these things are on the back of this tank, where these are, they might catch a little more light than the rest of it. I plugged off of paint. Oh, so Colonel Kane, you're waiting to get some information about the Anubis guards before you do painting on them? Is that what you're saying? I mean, it seems like a paint scheme is the sort of thing you might be able to ask him about. I mean, obviously I can't speak for him, but, you know, might be worthwhile to see if he'd be willing to divulge a tiny little bit of information about a paint scheme. Seems like a thing that could work. Every once in a while when it gets quiet, I hear the background music I have playing. I'm like, what the heck? It's like a horror movie or something. I didn't realize what was going on here. Just lightening this up a tiny little bit. Up and getting off camera. Try and stay on camera. Yeah. I'm with you there, Colonel Kane. I'm excited to know, but don't want to annoy him with too many questions. He's a busy person, running that company pretty much by himself. Pretty much. All right. What direction do I want to go next? I think I'll just try and do this little bit of glass we have going on here. This is something that Ross Hines is super good at. Savage Coyote on the forum and the Discord and things like that. He's just really good at getting these just spectacular little, I don't know, just edge highlight, not edge highlight, just these spectacular little lights that show up in the glass that he does. And I've never been able to do it as well as him. And I really need to get a chance. When I get a chance, I need to sit down with him and figure out how he does it. In the meantime, I am just going to wing it here. So I guess I'm going to put the highlight up here in the corner. This is going to be dark down here, transition up to green, and then just in this tiny space, it's got to get really bright really fast. So like I said, if I knew how to do it like him, I would be super happy, but I don't. So first things first, let's just lay down some green. Try not to knock the turret off while we're doing this. So yeah, gotta let that dry real quick. So this little CavCon force that I painted up, or I picked out, this virtual CavCon force is based around this Outlaw. So this Outlaw is another model that needs to get painted up for the JOR. And so I thought, well, why not do two things at once? I can paint a JOR model and I can include that as part of my force. So I picked up this Outlaw, and let's be honest, it was a tank. I was going to pick them up anyway. I love tanks. So these guys are indirect fire support unit. I think they got 2 rocket 10s, 5.5, hard soft number when they're undamaged. So this is my indirect fire squad, and their trusty little Razor, who will help them out with ECM and EST, so he can pass off his target lock to make them more efficient on the battlefield. Then, because I like multiples of the same thing and I need something to protect the fire support unit, I picked up these poltergeists. They have 4 medium MRACs. Pretty sure they're medium MRACs. I'm pretty sure they're 5.5 as well, and they got 4 of them, so they can hurt things. They can salvo fire pretty effectively to get to try and hit the high armor guys, and then if they have somebody that they can pepper to death, they can do that by shooting individually. They also have their own razor back there to give them EACM and EST. And then I've got, so in the rules we're using, there's only 12 models allowed because we're using the CavCon tournament rules. And so I only had 2 model spots left, and so I just took 2 shadows and a specialist squad to give me APA2 across the board, hopefully. So that's my force. Hopefully it'll paint up, look good, play decent. Not trying to win, like, etch my name in the halls of champions or anything like that with my performance at CavCon. Just trying to paint up some fun models, have a good time. All right, so now, I don't know, I feel like this glass should have kind of a different texture than the armor. So I don't know if I should lighten it up the same way I added the light MRACs. Okay, thank you, Colonel Kane. I'm not sure if I should use the same highlight that I used on the armor, or if I should let it be a little different. So basically what I'm saying is, should I highlight it with this, with like a bone or a white? All right. So if I highlight it with a bone, it's going to become this color right here. This corner of this plate. It's going to become like just a very soft green, but it's a piece of glass. So maybe it should have a really sharp transition. And so instead of going into a soft green, it should just go quickly to white to show how reflective it is. Yeah, you guys definitely need to bug the crap out of John on Wednesday. He's chatting with the other people right now, showing off pictures of his accomplishments. I think I'm going to go with the white. I'm going to go with just a much faster transition. It's a tiny, tiny little space, and so I need it to become bright really quickly for it to look like glass, I think. I don't know. This is the part that I wish Ross was here. He could just show me how he does it so well. All right, that basically looks white, so now I need something kind of in the middle. Could have some kind of transition. We just make these little tiny brighter bits of green paint that lead up to this white, I hope. See, I think that's gone too bright. So when you get too bright, you can just glaze it back down. So I'm using the ECM the standard razor there, Colonel Kane, not the attack version. I'm using the ECM version because, so to me when it comes to Cav list design, and all right, so first step with me is always to pick models I like the looks of. I don't care if my list can win or not. I want to have good looking models. Secondly, after I've got models that I'm very happy with in terms of their look, then I try and figure out how to play to win. And so I feel like, a list has got to have access to EST for a squad. I can't put all those points into those tanks and then expect them to have to get their own target locks all the time. If they have to, they have to. I get that. But every time that they can move and shoot and turn on their targeting computers, because tanks no longer have Wizzo. And so they really need a target lock to turn on their targeting computers to get the pluses to hit. That's super important nowadays. And so the way I get that is, so I need something in the squad that has EST. And so there's very few tanks available that have EST. I would have loved to maybe paint it up like a really oddball, step 1 Ilmarin, tanks, followed by the next 10 steps. So we have 11 steps of tanks. And then after that, we might look at a cav. No, you're 100% right. You know me well, Ilmarin. You know me well. So there aren't a lot of options for tanks that have ECM. And so I had to mix cavs in, which kind of freaks people out because some people, including myself at one point in time, was under the impression that you can't do that. You have to separate cavs and tanks, and there are certain conditions in which that is an important part of the rule, right? That cavs and tanks are not mixed. If you want to play a faction force that has access to faction doctrines, then that is a limiting factor. But you can still play a faction force. You just don't have access to faction doctrines and get away with having mixed squads. So that's what I have, because there's literally not a worthwhile EST granting tank. So it's kind of hard not to mix the two if you're willing to play tanks with any kind of efficiency. So thus the razors. To be honest with you, the razor, to me, it looks it has a little bit of a rock aesthetic to it, right? It's got these curved legs and a little bit of a curve here. It is squared off. There are lines here, so it's not smooth. It's not a dictator, which I don't have one nearby to show you. I do have an old emperor. Hold on a second. So here's an emperor, right? This is a gigantic rock cav, a big boy. And you see how it's got these, one of the characteristics to me of rock design is this kind of roundedness. Like the cockpit's got a little roundedness to it. The side of the cockpit, the legs down here have this roundedness to it. And so to me, that's kind of a rock aesthetic. And so the razor shares some of those characteristics with the rock to me. Now it's a Malvernus design, as far as I know. Pretty sure it's Malvernus. I'm sure it's in the Malvernus list. I don't know who the designer is. And so, if there was a better looking choice, I would have taken it. So this is one where I made a tiny little bit of compromise. I don't generally care for these kind of rounded surfaces, and so I tend to avoid them. But there wasn't much else to get for EST that would make my list work. So, and this isn't a rock unit, and I've seen these things painted up super well. I played against a bunch of them at the last CavCon. Brandon ran a bunch of those, and he used them super effectively. So they're definitely good little models. Step 1, drop your paintbrush in the paint. But you're right. Step 1 is tanks. Always tanks. All right. Trying to smooth out this transition up near this light just a little bit. Just has the wrong shape to it. And I'm using much too dark a paint, or light a paint there. There we go. Now I've got to, and this is the part that always gets me, right? And then I have to go back and forth like 11,000 times to kind of build up this transition. And like I said, you look at Ross's cockpit glass, and it's just like, sing. I mean, it looks like a Japanese anime where the hero or the heroine, yeah, absolutely, the Good Huntsman, yeah. I mean, I think they look great in their faction. It's just, I like the angular stuff. So like this tank floats my boat to no end. I love the arrowhead looking shape of this tank. This model's fantastic. It hits all the good spots for me. But yeah. So I was saying, Ross's cockpit glass looks like that ting you get off of a Japanese anime character's sword when they've drawn it, and they're about to avenge whatever wrong was done to them by the bad guy. Or gal, as the case may be. Because badness is not a gender-tied trait. Pretty sure. Don't tell my wife that. So I'm just concentrating here. I'm not trying to be quiet tonight. I'm just trying to do things I'm not particularly good at. And so I'm like the little kindergarten kid with his tongue stuck out, trying to color in the lines. It's not easy. I am, by the way, just in case anybody cares, I am just a big kid. I am old, and I've been married for a very long time, and to a wonderful woman, have a happy house, fantastic kids, and I am the world's biggest baby boy. I'm like, oh my gosh, shiny, look, Godzilla, yay! Everything makes me happy. I'm just always excited to play with my toys. Give me some time in a room with my toys, and I'll have a good time. All right. Kind of getting there slowly. Getting a little bit of that ting up in the upper right-hand corner. Steve B. Rule Doctor. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Doctor. Glad to see you. I don't recognize your name, so glad to have you around. Hope you've been lurking and listening. I hate to have to repeat all that stuff forever. But yeah, well, welcome to the Hobby Hangout. This is like I said, this is your local friendly neighborhood store where we would sit and chat and share a pizza and talk about your favorite paint and how badly your dice rolled you last night or how fantastic they were. That's what we do. That's what I do. That's what I try and do. Is that too much? It's always one transition after another. One transition after another. Gosh. In my head, Ross just does them in like with one brush stroke. He's like those. I've seen this. I don't remember the particulars, but I've seen artists who paint, like some complicated calligraphy or something, and they never lift the brush up. They like dip the brush in 3 or 4 different colors of paint, and they write like some piece of art without ever lifting the brush up. That's how I picture Ross doing these. He just dips his brush in there and kind of intimidates the paint, and it leaps onto the cockpit glass perfectly every time. New to CAD, getting my book and first minis next week. Pretty excited. Well, Mr. Doctor, Steve B. Rule, welcome to CAV. I'm excited too. Yeah, seriously, Colonel Kane, blindfolded with one hand tied behind his back. Ross is the man. I'm excited to hear that you're getting into CAV. What minis did you pick with your book? I'm assuming, I'm hoping you went for the special where you get a free squad when you buy the book. What did you pick? What faction did you go for? What? Tell us. The world wants to know. What is going on with you, sir? Do you like Terrans? Do you like Rock? Malvernus, Aidenese? Where are we going here? Sorry, again, tongue sticking out, trying to paint something that Ross won't tell me is terrible. I should strip and get rid of it. I went with Aidenese and also ordering 4 Dervish calves. Aidenese. Yeah, so Aidenese. So don't know how much you know about the factions yet, but you basically picked the most powerful faction in the game. They are the most technologically advanced. They are widespread. They are enormously powerful. The only thing that keeps them from conquering the universe is that they don't have time. I mean, literally. John has said on many of the RPG style streams where he will talk about the calves and the backgrounds and whatnot. He has said many times that one of the reasons why there's not all-out war in the cav universe is that everybody knows the Aidenese could conquer the galaxy if they wanted to. These are direct quotes, Colonel Kane. Direct quotes. They're just, the one thing that does hold them back is they have kind of a fragmented government. They don't have a central leader. And so it's hard to get them all going in one direction at the same time. But if you were to, let's say, if the Rock were to suddenly overstep their boundaries and start fire plasma bombing planets into the Stone Age again, like they did to Terra once, the Aidenese would probably find a way to, reschedule their weekend, like trip to the lake and go out and teach the galaxy the error of their ways. I'm sorry, Colonel Kane. It's the truth. It's just the plain truth. They're very powerful. And now they have Mr. Doctor. Steve Doctor is apparently their newest general. It's going to happen. They're going to conquer the universe. Colonel Kane disagrees with this, by the way, Mr. Doctor. So, no, definitely. If you have a chance, Steve. Again, I don't know what you want me to call you. Steve B. Rule Doctor. I'm not sure. I feel like there's something meaningful in that name, and I just don't get it. Steve B. Rule Doctor. Interesting. Come by the Wednesday night stream, 8 o'clock Central Time, same place essentially. Cav Boss and I will be talking about, oh yeah. So there are so many fun factions. Mr. Doctor. Ritter, Ritter are incredibly powerful. They have some of the most, they have some of the most devastating calves in the game. They are certainly a contender. But even they know the truth that Colonel Kane refuses to admit. That the Aidenese are fortunately they are distracted. Otherwise we'd all be in trouble. We would all be in massive trouble if they weren't busy at the lake on the weekends. Or whatever the Aidenese do for fun. Pardon me while my dog decides to bark at the neighbors. So yeah. Ritter would have been a good choice. So yes, the Ritter have a very extensive navy. They are they're. I mean, so when, and again, I'm just quoting John. I don't work for the company. I just listen to a lot of things that they say. Um, while the Adenese could conquer the galaxy, I mean, it wouldn't be like they would just instantly wipe everybody off the face of the planet. There would certainly be some battles, and the Ritter do have the most powerful navy. I've heard John say that on many occasions. So there would certainly be some interesting battles, and who knows? I mean, there was an Adenese civil war that happened way back in the fringes of time that spawned off the Almirathil faction, and so. That was a very close-run thing. John described the Adenese almost bombed themselves back to barbarism with all the craziness that they did. Yeah, I agree, Steve. It's fantastic. When you get a chance, when you get your book, unfortunately, Cav needs more fluff, but the fluff it has, if you read closely into that, into the history of the Adenese War, it's just fascinating. I mean, they did really bad things to each other. I mean, the galaxy almost grew up without Adon, and that we would have been in such a different place if they hadn't managed to survive that civil war. I don't know, Steve, have you joined the Cav Discord channel at all? Do you do Discord? If you haven't, then you should get an invite. I could send you one if you like. I could post one up if you don't already have one. You can go over there and get people to talk about the factions and the backgrounds, and it's a good place to chat about stuff and see what people are working on. That kind of stuff. All right. Glad to hear it. Yeah. But absolutely, if you have time tomorrow, not tomorrow night, I'm sorry, Wednesday night, although John will be on tomorrow night doing terrain, stop by. It's, all the shows except for the Saturday show are 8 o'clock Central Standard Time here on the Twitch channel. And John will field your questions. He will titillate you with upcoming new stuff. Like I said, it's amazing to me to have access to the game developer the way John makes himself available. I'm not familiar with too many other games that do that. And it's one of my favorite parts about Cav is that you can legitimately ask a question or, point out, hey, this doesn't make sense, and you can directly get the game designer to take a look at your question and give you an answer. And sometimes go, well, you're right. That shouldn't work that way. Let's fix it. So welcome to Cav. All right. I'm going to call that good enough for now. It's not a bad little look. See if I can change the focus. Here we go. So we can have just a little bit better look at this. Come over here. So I need to put some dots in there just to give it that gling, that sort of highlight of glass, reflecting a piece of light. But that's good enough for me. Yeah, Steve, absolutely. There's Colonel Kane and I were talking earlier. There's a couple of things coming out. I'm assuming this year. The Journal of Recognition, and that'll have sort of model level details, background stuff about how a particular model. For instance, this guy right here is going to be in there, as far as I know, the Cossack, and there'll be an entry about it and what role it plays and who developed it and stuff like that. And then there's a Flashpoint coming out, which is sort of like a campaign system based around, John hasn't told us everything yet, but based around an Egyptian-themed planet. And John is, tomorrow night, he'll be working on the terrain for the convention board for that planet. come in or stop in and get him to tell you how things work. And then when he tells you, come and tell us, because we need to know all the juicy details. Get this thing back where it belongs. All right. So yeah, I'm hoping you'll be here for more streams. I look forward to chatting with you over on the Discord. It's 9 o'clock, which is normally when I sign off. So I'll just run through the streams real quick. Assault on New Memphis. Thank you very much, Colonel Kane. See, Kane knows everything. Kane got me into the game, Steve. So we're all just a little happy family here. I'm like his recruit, I guess is the right way to put it. But so here's the schedule. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Monday nights, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, hang out here with me while I do a little bit of painting, hobby stuff, answer questions as best I can. Just basically just a group of guys sitting around the shop, sharing a pizza, just talking cav. That's what this show is. Tuesday night is terrain night with John. He's currently building the convention board for the Assault on New Memphis campaign. It's fantastic. He's got a giant pyramid, bunch of crazy looking desert terrain. John's really good at terrain. You should definitely check it out. Wednesday nights is me and John just getting together and talking about whatever's going on in CAV at the time. Upcoming projects, this secret thing that Cthulhu knows about, and you can come Wednesday night and ask him about a dropship. A big, gigantic 28 millimeter dropship. There's a couple of them in the works, to be quite frank with you. The broadsword and this other thing whose name I don't think I'm allowed to say. And then every third Thursday of the month, there's a show. We used to have a podcast. Ross Hines, the artist I've been picking on all night, and I used to do just a CAV podcast where we would talk about the game and our experiences and hobby stuff and other big stompy stuff. And so we've kind of revitalized that this year, end of last year. He and I and John and most of the time Todd Farnholtz, occasionally Hugh Peoples will get on, and we'll just talk about whatever's going on, review models, tell you tactics and strategy for some of the things, because both Todd and Ross are really fantastic players of the game. Hugh is an incredible kit basher. He's been doing some stuff over on Discord. It's just crazy talk with the kind of models he's been assembling. And so that's every third Thursday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, same Twitch channel. And then on Saturdays, you can watch one of the sculptors for the game, Chris Lewis. God, I hope I got his last name right. I feel so bad if I didn't. I'm dumb and old. He'll come on at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time and work on brand new models that you're going to be able to buy sometime this year. He'll answer your questions, take your suggestions, maybe even, who knows, you might tweak a model that you're going to get in your hot little hands at some point in time this year. So definitely drop by and check him out. I mentioned CavCon coming up at the end of March. It's a virtual CavCon. A handful of us will get together. We'll be safe. We'll follow all the local protocols to make sure we're not risking anybody's health. But we're going to get together and stream and play some games and demo some art techniques. Hopefully we get Ross and Todd on to show how they do things. We just have a good time. So yeah, lots to look forward to in the CAV universe. So happy to see you here, Mr. Doctor. Hopefully you'll come back and join us. Thanks everybody for being here. I'm probably, between now and next Monday, I'm going to try and push through and get a lot of work done on this guy so he can be mostly done. And then maybe we can start doing some work on these guys. Now, I'm going to have to push forward. I got 12 models to do here, so I'll definitely be doing a lot of this off stream. But I'll share wherever I am with those when I get a chance to see you guys again next Monday. Thanks everybody for joining me. Go out into the world and do something nice for somebody. Make somebody smile when you walk away from them. It's my favorite thing to ask people to do. Always try and make somebody in your life smile. Good night, good huntsman. Good night, doctor. Good night, Colonel Kane. Good night, John Boy. That's how old I am. Talk to you later, folks. Thanks for joining me.